My buddy Ryan asked me a question. It was a very interesting question coming from him. First off, he's a doctor. Second off, he's an MMA coach. And third off, he served as an MMA manager for a meaningful period of time. But here was his question. He said, Chael, how do you know as an athlete when your skills and ability are diminishing? Now, I can answer that question very quantifiably, but to back up in just a very broad stroke, if you ever hear an athlete say, I am training smarter, not harder, bet against him. That is the beginning of the end. The gold standard to athletic training is to outwork the competition, hard stop, period. So when you start to hear guys that can no longer do the work, they can just simply no longer keep up in the gym. So they'll say things like, well, I'm being smarter and I'm working on preventative measures instead of proactive measures. And I'm working, and they start to get real scientific with it. Look, sports and science just don't go hand in hand. And you'll get some big leagues. You'll get the NFL to throw some money at it. You'll get Dana to throw some money at it. I mean, some people that think they can do a bigger and a better and a nicer training facility, there is nothing historically that can point to that. There was an article that came out. It was actually a television show. And I want to say it was done by like 2020. John Stossels, Barbara Walters, very, very good people, very creditable. They went to 3 different places in the world. I remember one. And it was this little ratty, old, terrible looking, old equipment tennis court. And these balls, you know, a tennis ball is bright yellow. Oh, these look like dogs had been chewing on them. And the rackets, oh man, they were all taped up just so they didn't hurt your hand. They had nothing. They had produced an Olympic gold medalist from like 1964 on. They had produced 7 different Wimbledon champions, and it all came from here. And there was one coach, and it was a very small town. There wasn't like you just had this huge population to go and bring some of the greatest athletes from. They did another study on gymnastics. They did another study on the sport of wrestling. I can tell you, I used to live at the Olympic Training Center. And the Olympic Training Center, as far as a facility went, is exactly what you would think. The Olympic Training Center, who is funded by the United States Olympic Committee, who answers directly to the United States Senate. I mean, it was the nicest things you could ever possibly imagine. The nicest mats, temperature control. Get done with there. Go over to the dining hall. Some of the nicest foods you could ever think of. Then you go to your dormitory, which is a perfectly comfortable bed with a television on the wall. I mean, it was these really wonderful things. And we had a coach there that was Russian. And he had trained a number of world and Olympic champions. And they had no heat. They had no light. They had to train in daylight hours so that whatever light came through the window so that they could see. And it was in a very cold region of the world. It was in a place called Kakistan. But in the winter times, those Resilite mats are hard as concrete. They just simply are. They have to have heat. The heat is what softens them up. He was training world and Olympic champions out of this facility. He comes over to the United States. He can't believe everything we have. We had a guy who was the number 2 guy in our country, but he came into practice and he was 15 minutes late. And Anatoly turned to him. He said, "You are late. You will go home today." And the guy had an excuse. He said, "No, Anatoly, I was working. I got in traffic. I came right here. I've done everything right." Anatoly said, "I have a guy. He come in my room in Kakistan. He, 3-time world champion. He show up late like you. I send him home. I say, no train today. You, number 2 in the country. He, 3-time world champion. You are number 2 in the country. You think you can be late. And because America, I must let you on the map. He, a 3-time world champion. I sent him home." I never forgot it because of the insult Anatoly was giving him. He was saying, "I sent a 3-time world champion home. You're the number 2 guy just within this area, and I have to let you onto this mat." I share this with you because whenever you start to get into this train smarter, not harder, that is the foundation for a guy telling you, "I'm done." It's simply not going to work out. So how do you know as an athlete when that time has come? Look, there's only so many things that are quantifiable. And the first one, nobody can identify for you. You have to do it. Am I hungry? There was a time in my life I would walk over burning coals to get what I wanted. Would I do that now? When the fire is red hot, while I enter the fire, there is going to be 100 excuses every day why not to do something. Can I still find that one reason to go and do it? And only you can answer that. That's only here. From a physical standpoint, there's only a few things that are quantifiable. How many hours did I spend in the room? Did I give it the same effort as I was giving before? How many rounds did I jump rope in the corner after practice while all my teammates were off hitting the shower and visiting? But moreover, would come down to really two things. And if you've got a third or a fourth, throw them at me, but I've really seen two things. First is weights. Weights just simply have a number on the side of them. You know how much weight that is. If you're taking 135 pounds, and you're bench pressing it 50 times, are you still able to bench press it 50 times? If you're taking 225 pounds and you're doing it 10 times, can you still do it 10 times? And the second is your running. If you used to run a mile in 4 minutes and 50 seconds, and now it's 5 minutes and 30 seconds, and all of a sudden it's 7 minutes and 10 seconds, these are quantifiable things where you can see, maybe my mind is still strong. And maybe my habits and discipline are still there. But from the quantifiable numbers that I have an ability to look at, it's over.